What I've got here is JessEm's clear cut stock guides for a table saw. In the box comes the instructions, the warranty, the mounting track which will mount to a table saw or a router table, the 2 large clear cut stock guides and part of the mounting gear as well. So we've got a 1/4x20 nut and bolt. We've got some self-tapping screws for fixing on top of metal fences, and also then basically the screwdrivers that go with it. The really clever part of this is actually the clear cut stock guide. This mounts up onto the track and can be moved forwards and backwards. The arm that's on here, it comes down and basically sits on top of your timber. We can lengthen this arm depending on how high your fence is. As you push your timber through, it actually lifts up on a spring and keeps pressure pushing your timber down onto the bed. What it also does, because these nylon wheels, which are a one-way bearing, allow your timber to be pushed through but stop any kickback. These are set at 5-degree incline, so they actually draw your timber into the fence all of the time. What we'll do, we'll mount them up on the table saw and have a look how they work. If you have a box style fence, they often have a 2-inch or 50mm wide flat top to them, in which case you can position the JessEm track on there. It comes with a drill and self-tapping screws. You could drill down, self-tap and screw your screws in to fix him down. Otherwise, it also comes with 1/4x20 nuts and bolts. You could use those to actually fix down onto a track as well. My felder saw comes with a high-low fence. We can either set this up for standard work in the high position. You see at the moment there's no fixing point for my rail to go on, so I'll show you another method for doing that. If you put the fence in the low position, the idea of this is if you're doing narrow cuts or using the saw blade at 45 degrees over the top of the fence, you can get in there much more safely. Again, for this we need to mount the track on top of here. You may be able to just self-tap and drill it down into the fence. Otherwise, I would use a piece of timber as a mounting block. When I'm using my standard fence, which is high, I've got no room on top of it to actually fix my track to. So what I've done, I've machined nice and accurately a block of timber, which I've screwed to the back of my aluminium fence. I've screwed and bolted it down from the top, and now I've got all the adjustment and fixing for using my clear cut stock guides in and out, up and down. And what it's giving me is a really good quality finish of cut on my timber. Safe, accurate and very, very productive. When we've got these JessEm clear stock guides, we want to set them up so they can reach our thinnest timber. But when we reach the thinnest timber, we also don't want this upright. We want this at about 30 degrees. You can see the arm wouldn't be long enough at present to actually reach our timber. So what we can do is use the Allen key provided and undo these little grub screws. I will remove those and we can lengthen this, all these predetermined screw holes, and put my box on here at 0, get this set up. We're at about there. That's 30 degrees off upright, and then we can put our screws on here back in to mount this up so it'll reach our timber. Once this has been set up, I don't bother adjusting these grub screws again. What we can do now is just pivot this up and down depending on the thickness of timber that we are using. What we'll also do to get this set up for the correct thickness of the timber, we'll rest the timber on the black part of the body here. The wheels are set slightly below, and that will give the right amount of offset or pressure to actually use this as you push your timber through. It'll activate the spring in here, just lifting this up to push your timber down against the bed. When setting up these stock guides, make sure you'll set them up so they're set between the blade and the fence, so it's pulling that timber in against the fence all the time. If you set the stock guide on the outside of the blade, it would actually drag the timber into the back of the blade, which is more chance for kickback. If you wanted to mount up the clear cut stock guides onto your router table, we also have an additional track you can purchase. You can use the T20 nuts and bolts, put them through the larger holes and run this on top of your router fence. And then you can get some really good clear cuts, pulling that timber in against your fence, holding it down. Again, you'll get a much better quality of consistent cut on your router table safely as well. Check us out at Woodworkers Workshop for our clear cut table saw stock guides. We also have dedicated videos for our router table clear cut stock guides and our flex cut stock guides.